Kevin sat in front of the mirror, adjusting his tie and checking his hair one last time. Today was a special evening. He didn't want to look too sloppy. Jessica had texted him since the afternoon, repeatedly saying how much she was looking forward to this date. Reading the text message, "Just the two of us tonight, okay?" Logically, Kevin felt more assured. He left the apartment, took a taxi to the fancy restaurant that Jessica had chosen. It was an expensive place, famous for its high-class steaks and fine wines. Kevin was a little surprised that Jessica had chosen this place, but he didn't care too much. If this evening went well, perhaps their relationship would go further. Entering the restaurant, Kevin was immediately surrounded by the luxurious atmosphere. Warm yellow lights, melodious piano music, neatly dressed waiters walking lightly. Kevin smiled and walked towards the reserved table. But as soon as he arrived, the smile on his lips froze. Instead of just Jessica sitting there, as he expected, there were 4 other girls laughing and chatting with her. Jessica was wearing a seductive red dress, holding a glass of wine, waving to him, "Kevin, you're here! I've ordered an appetizer. I've been waiting for you." Kevin was stunned for a moment, but still tried to stay calm. He pulled a chair and sat down next to Jessica, his eyes sweeping over each of them. The other 4 girls were all stylishly dressed and carefully made up. Sophie, Jessica's best friend, was the first to speak up. "Kevin, I finally met you. Jess talked a lot about you." Emma quickly added, her voice full of sweetness. "That's right," Jess said. "You're a gentleman, a gallant man. We'll definitely like you." Kevin chuckled lightly. He began to feel something was wrong. "So it's not just the two of us today?" he asked, deliberately keeping his tone light. Jessica giggled, linking her arms with his. "Oh my, did I forget to tell you? Today is a special day. I want you to meet my best friends." Kevin raised his eyebrows. "A special day? Who decided that?" But he didn't say anything more, just quietly observed. The waiter came, bringing the menu. But instead of letting Kevin choose, Jessica's group quickly ordered a series of expensive dishes, from grilled lobster with butter, Wagyu beef, and premium wine. Mia, the girl who seemed to be the quietest in the group, was a bit hesitant, but when she saw Sophie and Emma enthusiastically ordering, she followed suit. Kevin shook his head silently. He wasn't an idiot. This was clearly not a normal date. When the food was brought out, Jessica and her group of friends ate and laughed, constantly talking about fancy parties, designer bags, and lavish trips. "My ex-boyfriend once gave me a Chanel limited edition bag, but I sold it. It didn't suit my style," Sophie boasted. "Oh, Kevin, do you travel often?" Emma asked, her voice somewhat probing. "Oh, yes, but I prefer simpler trips, not too extravagant," Kevin replied, deliberately giving a neutral answer. Jessica pouted. "You have to change. As a man, you have to know how to enjoy life." Kevin just smiled, saying nothing. He was too used to this kind of conversation. Girls like Jessica always thought that men had to serve, had to prove their class with money. But today, Kevin would not fall into the trap. Dinner lasted just over an hour. When the waiter brought the check, Kevin was ready for what was to come. Jessica winked at her friends, then gently pushed the check toward him. Kevin slowly put down his knife and fork, took a sip of water, and glanced at the bill in front of him. The number on it made him raise an eyebrow. $1,250. It was a large sum, but what interested him more was how Jessica and her group of friends handled the situation. Jessica sat next to him, leaning closer, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Her voice was soft, as if this was a matter of course. "Honey, can you pay for me today? I forgot my wallet." That sentence was like a signal. Immediately, Sophie, Emma, and Mia all giggled, looking comfortable as if everything had been arranged beforehand. Emma leaned back, pretending to be surprised. "Oh my God, Jess, how could I forget my wallet? But luckily, Kevin is here. He's a gallant man, isn't he?" Sophie added, "Well, this is definitely one of the reasons why Jess loves you. A man who spares nothing for his woman. How rare." Kevin looked at them, not rushing to answer. He picked up the bill, turned it around in his hand, then leaned back in his chair, a half-smile full of meaning. He slowly put the paper down on the table, tapping it with his fingertips. $1,250, huh? That's a bit much. Jessica smiled brightly, but her eyes were wary. "But it's okay. I know you don't care about this." Kevin raised his eyebrows slightly, his sharp eyes looking straight at Jessica. "Oh, of course. I don't care at all." The whole table breathed a sigh of relief. But just as Jessica was about to say something more, Kevin continued, "So, let's split it evenly?" The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. Jessica blinked, her mouth still smiling, but her facial muscles were somewhat tense. "What do you mean?" Kevin shrugged, his voice still calm. "Let's split it evenly. There are 6 of us, so each of us will get about $200, right?" Emma almost choked on the sip of wine she had just taken. Sophie immediately laughed awkwardly, trying to turn the situation around. "Kevin, are you kidding? I thought you wanted to treat us today." Kevin tilted his head, pretending to be surprised. "You want to treat? Oh, but I remember Jess said it's just the 2 of us tonight." This time, Jessica's face really paled. Mia lowered her head, clearly feeling uncomfortable. But Sophie still tried to keep her offensive stance, her smile curling her lips. "Come on, Kevin. You're a man. Do you have to calculate like that for a meal?" Kevin laughed. "Yes, you're a man. But being a man doesn't mean being a walking ATM. This time, no one could laugh anymore." Jessica still tried to salvage. "But honey, you know I didn't mean anything. It's just, I really forgot my wallet today. We can't let everyone pay for themselves, right?" Kevin leaned towards Jessica, his eyes flashing coldly. "I'm not the only one sitting here. Everyone ate freely, ordered without asking me, and now you think I'm the only one paying? Do you think I'm stupid?" Jessica was a little startled, and Sophie and Emma started to feel awkward. "Okay, if you don't want to split it equally," Kevin continued, his voice getting lower, "then I'll just pay for my share. I ordered a steak and a glass of wine, which came to less than $150 in total. Here, this is my share." With that, Kevin took out his wallet, took out a $100 bill and a $50 bill, and placed them neatly on the table. This time, Jessica couldn't laugh anymore. "Kevin, are you really going to do this?" Kevin crossed his arms, leaning back in his chair. "You can call the waiter and see who'll pay the rest. I'm done." Just then, the waiter appeared, as if sensing the tension in the air. "Excuse me, sir, can I help you?" Emma hurriedly said. "Actually, this bill is Kevin's," Kevin sneered. "Oh no, I'll just pay my share. The ladies here will pay the rest." The waiter politely looked at Jessica's group. "So the remaining amount is $1,100. Are you paying by card or cash?" Jessica clenched her fists under the table, her eyes sweeping over the group. Sophie and Emma began to argue over who would pay, while Mia tried to appear invisible. Just then, another voice rang out from the table next to her. "Wow, Jessica! Again?" The whole table turned. Ethan, Kevin's best friend, walked over with Lucy, arms crossed, looking at Jessica with mocking eyes. Jessica turned pale. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" Ethan, in a smart suit with a hidden smirk, slowly walked to the dining table, leisurely pulling out a chair and sitting down. He crossed his arms in front of his chest, his eyes sweeping over Jessica and her group of friends as if he had just witnessed an interesting comedy. Beside Ethan, Lucy, Kevin's unique best friend, crossed her arms, her eyes cold and full of contempt. She wore a figure-hugging dress, her high ponytail further accentuating her cold appearance. Jessica swallowed hard, her face paling visibly. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" Her voice faltered a bit. Ethan shrugged, his voice filled with mockery. "Oh, it was a coincidence, but I find this very familiar. Do you remember last time? A bill of more than $2,000 at an Italian restaurant? You did the same thing today." Jessica immediately froze. Mia, who seemed to be the quietest in the group, turned to look at Jessica, her eyes wavering as if she was seeing her friend's true face for the first time. Emma still forced a smile, trying to turn the situation around. "Ethan, what are you talking about? Today was just a fun meal." "It's not a big deal." Lucy laughed sarcastically. "Oh, really? Then why did we just see Jess here pushing the bill towards Kevin and acting so cute, asking him to pay for her? Let me guess. Did you forget your wallet at home? Or didn't you bring your card?" Jessica gritted her teeth, but still tried to stay calm. "Ethan, what are you talking about? Last time, it was just a misunderstanding, but today, I really forgot my wallet." Kevin, who had kept a calm attitude all this time, smiled lightly, then slowly put his glass of water down on the table. "Really? Let me guess. If I told you to call your private driver to bring your wallet here, would anyone come?" Jessica was stunned, speechless. Sophie, who was very good at improvising, immediately interjected, trying to save the situation. "Come on, Kevin. It's just a meal. You're a man. Being too stingy is not good." Kevin glanced at Sophie, his eyes much sharper. "Oh, men have to pay for an entire table of unrelated meals? So what do you girls work for?" This time, it was Emma and Sophie's turn to be speechless. Mia still lowered her head, clearly not wanting to get involved in this matter. Lucy tilted her head, her voice still cold but full of sarcasm. "Oh my, did you hear that?" Kevin asked a good question. "What do you girls work for? Or is it just to buy branded goods, live a virtual life, and wait for men to pay for food?" Jessica paled, but still tried to hold on to the last bit of hope. She turned to Kevin, her eyes moist, her voice softer than ever. "Kevin, I'm sorry. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable, then just let me take care of it." This sentence made Sophie and Emma turn to look at Jessica, clearly dissatisfied that she had just sold out her teammates. Kevin did not react immediately. He just tilted his head slightly, then smiled meaningfully. "Oh, is that so? If so, how about you pay?" Jessica was stunned, her fingers tightening on the tablecloth, but she had no way to refute. She knew Kevin had caught her. At this time, the waiter had also been waiting for a long time, maintaining a polite attitude, but his eyes clearly showing discomfort. "Excuse me, sir, so do you want to pay by cash or card?" Sophie bit her lip. Emma looked around. Clearly no one wanted to pay. Kevin leisurely stood up, took out a $100 bill and a $50 bill, and placed them neatly on the table. "This is my share." He smiled, his voice calm but colder than ever. "You guys can handle the rest, right?" Saying that, Kevin pushed his chair back, took a step back, and slowly looked at the chaos in front of him. Jessica turned pale. Sophie and Emma started arguing about who would pay, and Mia, who seemed to be the only one who felt regretful, bowed her head and remained completely silent. At this moment, Ethan suddenly spoke up, his voice mixed with a hint of amusement. "If you don't pay, We'll have to call the restaurant manager to help, right? Jessica was startled and immediately looked around for a way to escape. But it was too late. From the cashier, Mike, the restaurant manager, stepped forward, his face not very happy. "I'm sorry, but if you don't pay in full, we'll be forced to call security. As you know, our restaurant doesn't serve customers who don't pay." Jessica was sweating, not expecting the situation to be this bad. Sophie turned to Emma, growling. "Damn, what should we do now?" Emma bit her lip, finally taking out her phone to call someone. Kevin guessed it was probably another man they had set up for this situation. Lucy laughed, linking arms with Kevin in delight. "Looks like they've run out of tricks, huh?" Kevin didn't say anything, just shrugged, looking at Jessica with disappointment. Jessica, who had been trying to maintain her image from the beginning to the end, finally lost all her confidence. She knew that after tonight, Kevin would never come back again. And the worst thing? All the people sitting at the same table with her had also seen each other's true faces. Kevin put on his coat, turned around, and walked away, leaving behind a mess, a bunch of arguing people, and a Jessica with a humiliated face. Ethan laughed loudly, patting Kevin on the shoulder. "Dude, I think we should go out for a few drinks tonight to celebrate." Lucy also laughed. "Sure, but let me pay. I don't want to be called stingy." The three of them laughed together, leaving behind a memorable dinner in the worst possible way for Jessica's group. Jessica sat in the taxi, her hands clenched on her bag, her eyes filled with anger. She had never been so humiliated in her life. The evening was supposed to be a perfect drama, where she and her friends could enjoy a lavish meal without spending a penny. But everything had collapsed. Not only did Kevin not fall for it, he also made her lose face in front of her friends and the restaurant. What made her blood boil even more were Ethan and Lucy, the two who had mercilessly ruined her plan. So angry! Jessica gritted her teeth and yelled at the driver, "Drive faster!" The driver was startled, but still tried to stay calm, stepping on the gas pedal. Jessica grabbed her phone and opened Instagram. Kevin had blocked her. So had Ethan and Lucy. "You bastard," she growled, biting her lip until it almost bled. But Jessica was not the type of girl who would give up easily. She took a deep breath, then called Sophie. "This isn't over. I'm going to teach her a lesson." Sophie, who was still angry about having to take out her wallet to pay the bill, hissed into the phone, "What are you going to do?" Jessica gripped the phone tightly, her eyes gleaming with mischief. Dirty. The next day, Kevin walked into the office feeling refreshed. After the dramatic dinner yesterday, he, Ethan, and Lucy had gone out for a few drinks to celebrate their spectacular escape. He had just turned on his computer when his phone started vibrating. Messages from some friends at the office. "Kevin, what's going on? You're such a bad guy. You're just going to play around and then abandon someone else's daughter like that?" Kevin frowned. What the hell was going on? He opened Facebook and was instantly stunned. A public post from Jessica's account. Jessica Nguyen. 2 hours ago. I never thought I would have to write this, but I can't keep quiet anymore. Kevin and I have been together for a while. I truly love him. But after all, I realized that I was just a joke to him. He took advantage of my feelings, brought me to parties, then abandoned me when I was no longer valuable to him. I hope for nothing but justice. Thank you to everyone who has been with me during this difficult time. I am truly heartbroken. Underneath the post are hundreds of comments, most of which are words of comfort for Jessica. But there are also many who mercilessly curse Kevin. Kevin was shocked, but immediately after, his eyes darkened. Well done, Jessica. She couldn't fool him with dinner, so now she wants to play the victim? Kevin immediately called Ethan. It's a big deal. Jessica is trying to smear me online. Ethan laughed, his voice not sounding worried. Oh, I expected it. Don't worry, we've prepared in advance. Kevin frowned. What do you mean? Ethan chuckled lightly, then sent a recording file to Kevin's phone. Play it and listen. Kevin played the file and was immediately stunned. In the recording, Jessica and Sophie's voices are clearly heard. Jessica, I'm going to ruin his reputation. Let's see. A tragic love story. A girl who gets dumped after pouring her heart out to a bad man. Sounds good, right, Sophie? But isn't that too much? What if he fights back? Kevin sat silently in his office, his eyes glued to the phone screen as the recording continued. Jessica and Sophie's voices were crystal clear, as if it had never occurred to them that someone was secretly recording the entire plan. Jessica sneered in the recording, her voice full of confidence. Ha! Men never win. We just have to cry a little, write a few posts, get some sympathy, and that's it. He can never explain. No matter how much his friends try to protect him, it's useless, because women are always more trustworthy in these matters. Sophie hesitated. But what if Kevin has proof? Jessica laughed. Who cares? If he releases evidence, I can just say that I was forced, I was threatened, or even used. Don't you understand? Society is always on my side. And that guy? He will never be able to clear his bad name. Kevin clenched the phone tightly, his eyes cold. He could feel his heart rate slowing down, anger rising, but he was still in control. Ethan sneered from the other end of the line. So? Are you going to give in to him now? Kevin took a deep breath, feeling every muscle in his body tense. Number, I won't let this go. Lucy jumped into the conversation, her voice sharp. We have a plan. But first, do you want to make a fuss? Or do you want to deal with her delicately? Kevin thought for a moment. Then the corners of his lips curled up. Embarrass her slowly. I don't want her to have a chance to fight back. Lucy burst out laughing. Like slowly boiling a frog in water, right? Kevin nodded, his eyes flashing with sharpness. Exactly. The three of them quickly came up with a plan. They would not only expose Jessica immediately, but also make her destroy herself. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Jessica was reveling in her fake fame. She kept checking her phone, seeing the number of likes and comments increasing rapidly on the post denouncing Kevin. The first comment, "Oh my God, men are really bad, Jessica. You deserve someone better." Another comment, "That kind of man needs to be condemned. It's a mistake to let him live." Jessica curled her lips and leaned back in her chair. Her plan was perfect, but she had no idea that the real nightmare was just beginning. The next day, Kevin posted a short article on social media. No direct attacks, no cursing, no rebuttals to Jessica. He simply posted, "The truth always has a way of revealing itself." Attached was a short clip, a portion of a recording between Jessica and Sophie. Enough to make people skeptical, but not enough for Jessica to sue him for defamation. The post quickly attracted thousands of interactions. People started asking, "Wait, is this Jessica's voice? Is she really planning to ruin him? If this is real, then who is the scammer in this story?" Jessica immediately realized what was happening. She paled as the comments began to change direction. No longer completely on her side, there were people who were skeptical. Sophie texted Jessica in a panic, "Did you see Kevin's post? He has proof." Jessica threw her phone on the bed, frustration rising in her throat. But she wasn't scared yet. "It's okay. I just need to cry a little. People will still believe me." And so she created a live stream, with a tearful face and a trembling voice. "Kevin is trying to ruin my life. He hates me. Because I told the truth. I loved him sincerely, but I was betrayed. He even secretly filmed me, distorted my words to embarrass me. Immediately, hundreds of people jumped in to comfort her. But this time, it was not as effective as before. Some commented, "But why does Kevin have this recording? Who recorded the conversation without a reason? It feels like she is acting." Jessica has always bragged about being a gold digger. Now she is pretending to be a victim? Jessica's nightmare was not over. Because the next day, Kevin released the entire recording. There was nothing left to argue about. There was nothing left to defend. Every word Jessica said was her own accusation. Social media exploded. People stopped believing her. Her friends, who had stood by her, went silent. Jessica frantically called Sophie, but Sophie refused. Emma texted, "Sorry, but I can't be involved in this anymore." Even Mia, the quiet girl in the group, texted, "I think you should stop. I don't want to be involved anymore." Jessica panicked. She tried to post an apology, but no one believed her anymore. She tried to text Kevin, but he had blocked her long ago. Jessica realized she had lost everything. She lost face, friends, and the perfect image she had worked so hard to build. She had become a laughingstock online. At a fancy bar, Kevin, Ethan, and Lucy raised their glasses to celebrate. Ethan laughed gleefully. "Is it over?" Lucy shrugged. "Probably not. I think Jessica will still find a way to come back." Kevin put his glass down on the table, his eyes thoughtful. Let's see what else she can do. Because they both knew, someone like Jessica would never give up easily. Jessica sat huddled in her luxurious apartment, the apartment she had once proudly shown off on social media, but now felt suffocating and scary. Messages kept pouring into her phone, but they were no longer compliments, sympathy, or praise for her like before. Instead, there was sarcasm, contempt, and even threats. "You are such a disgusting gold digger. Please don't ever play the victim again. It's disgusting. Do you think you can destroy others and live in peace?" Jessica trembled, throwing her phone on the bed. She didn't want to see it anymore. Everything had collapsed. The brands that had sponsored her had canceled their contracts. The relationships that had helped her get into lavish parties had disappeared, as if they had never existed. Sophie, Emma, and even Mia, whom she had once considered an ally, had all cut off contact. Jessica couldn't believe that in just a few days, she had gone from being a social media sensation to a laughingstock. She hated Kevin, hated him for daring to confront her, for winning against her, for making her look like a miserable failure. But Jessica couldn't accept that. She couldn't let Kevin live in peace after he had destroyed her. She needed a plan. Kevin was sitting at work when he received a text from Lucy. "See? She's up to no good again." He frowned, opening the message to see. It was a new post from Jessica. "Jessica Nguyen, 5 minutes ago. I made a mistake by trusting someone who didn't deserve it. But I won't let myself be crushed like this. I'll tell the truth that he doesn't want anyone to know." Kevin frowned. He wasn't surprised that Jessica tried to fight back. But what was she going to do this time? Lucy called right after, her voice urgent. "What do you think she's talking about?" Ethan jumped in from the other side. "I don't know, but she seems to be trying to turn the tables. We have to be careful." Kevin mused. He knew Jessica was stubborn, and she would never give up easily. But this time, he would not give her the chance to make up anything more. Jessica sat in front of her laptop screen, her fingers typing rapidly on the keyboard. She had nothing left to lose. And when a person has nothing left to lose, They can do anything. She needed to make up a story that would destroy Kevin. She searched through old messages between the two of them, selected conversations that could be easily edited, editing them to make it look like Kevin had taken advantage of her. Then she prepared a long post, along with edited screenshots. Content? A story about a woman who was deceived, used, and abandoned by a man. A story with enough tears, pain, and tragedy. A story that she believed netizens would easily believe. Because she knows, as long as she appeals to people's emotions, the truth no longer matters. Kevin had expected this. As soon as Jessica's post appeared, he immediately responded. Not with a long post, not with an excuse, but with undeniable truth. He posted a video recording the entire conversation between Jessica and Sophie, where Jessica confessed that she was trying to ruin Kevin with lies. There was nothing left to save Jessica. This time, the anger of the online community exploded. If before it was just sarcasm, now they were truly indignant. "You are really a disgusting scammer. I used to believe you, but now I feel stupid for siding with you. You have no chance anymore," Jessica panicked. She tried to delete the post, but it was too late. Everything had spread everywhere. She received hundreds of threatening messages, threats, and even emails from people who wanted to sue her for defamation. No one believed her anymore. She was completely destroyed. And this time, there was no going back. Kevin took a sip of coffee, looking at his phone calmly. Lucy and Ethan were laughing and joking, talking about the events of the week. "So this is it?" Lucy asked, her eyes flashing with amusement. Kevin shrugged, putting his coffee cup down on the table. "I don't know, but I don't think she'll get a chance to come back this time." And they were right, because Jessica had buried herself. Jessica sat on the floor, her eyes staring blankly at the glowing phone screen in the dark apartment. The messages and comments of insults kept pouring in, without stopping. The people who used to flatter her, who used to praise her, now turned to insult and curse her as the most despicable person in the world. She tried to block comments and delete posts, but it was too late. Her name was all over the groups, becoming a typical story of a gold digger being exposed. Tabloids began to dig up her past. Her previous cases of taking advantage of men were gradually exposed. Some people even claimed to be Jessica's victims, speaking up, recounting the times she had cheated them out of money, causing her image to completely collapse. Jessica couldn't believe it. It all happened in just a few days, but it was enough to ruin her whole life. No one wanted to be associated with her anymore. The brands that had worked with her had canceled their contracts. The ones that had once praised her were now the ones that had been quickest to tear her down. She tried to call Sophie, but only received a curt message. "Sorry, but I can't have anything to do with you anymore. Don't contact me." Even Emma, who had been her most loyal ally, blocked her. Jessica panicked, calling the rich man she had been seeing, but he didn't pick up either. She was completely abandoned. She had lost everything, and worst of all, she knew that Kevin had won. Meanwhile, Kevin was sitting in a coffee shop with Ethan and Lucy, the three of them relaxing after a day full of drama. Lucy laughed, showing Kevin a new post on her phone. Jessica Nguyen announced her indefinite social media withdrawal. Ethan raised his eyebrows, whistling. So she finally gave up? Kevin took a sip of coffee, his eyes calm. There was no other choice. She ruined herself. Lucy rested her chin on her hand, squinting at Kevin. "So, do you feel good about it?" Kevin pondered for a moment, then shrugged. "Not really. I'm just relieved to finally get out of this mess." Ethan laughed out loud. "So let's celebrate tonight? I heard there's a new bar opening up. It's pretty cool." Lucy nodded. "Yeah, but This time I'll pay, to avoid being called a gold digger." The three of them laughed. The story finally came to an end. Jessica disappeared from social media. No one knew if she was still in the city or if she had gone into hiding somewhere. But wherever she went, her reputation was completely ruined. As for Kevin, he continued with his life, telling himself that this was a lesson he would never forget. Truth always wins. No matter how sophisticated the lies are, they will eventually be exposed. Those who take advantage of others' kindness cannot hide forever. Greed will destroy people. Jessica used to have a lavish life, admired by many people, but it was her greed and cunning that caused her to destroy everything with her own hands. Be selective about who you surround yourself with. Kevin escaped Jessica thanks to good friends like Ethan and Lucy. True friends will always help you see through fake people. No one can control public opinion forever. Jessica once thought she could manipulate people's emotions, but in the end, social media turned against her. Once the truth is exposed, fake people will be eliminated. Never let yourself be taken advantage of. Men don't have to pay. Women don't have to be right. Everyone needs to be alert so that they are not manipulated or taken advantage of in any situation. If you find this story interesting and valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to support us. Sparkles, leave a comment below. Have you ever been taken advantage of like Kevin? How would you handle it if you encountered a Jessica in your life? Let's share your thoughts. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next stories. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Blast off!